Shalom, brothers and sisters. I'm Brother Sid of the Commandment Keepers Church. We have a detailed broadcast for our brothers and sisters internationally. The title of today's broadcast will be The Religion of DEI. The Religion of DEI, brothers and sisters. Today we will discuss the religion of diversity, equity, and inclusion. In today's broadcast, we will reveal how Satan has done away with merit and replaced it with a willingness to capitulate to the mainstream agenda. Today's society places more importance on credentials rather than qualifications, and conforming to the government's narrative and agenda has become essential for acceptance in our modern society. Okay? In our present day, one's willingness to conform to the mainstream media agenda is the deciding factor of a person's corporate value. Okay, so approximately 10 years ago, a trend was observed in which the mainstream media began to support alternative lifestyles in a new and unprecedented way. All right, one memorable example is the case of athlete Michael Sam, who publicly revealed his homosexuality before the NFL draft. Okay. And ESPN and other mainstream media outlets embraced and widely publicized his alternative lifestyle on all media platforms.
Something they're calling the Michael Sam effect, the first openly gay player drafted by the NFL, revealing something big about America. Starting with proof that sometimes making a bold move can make you an even bigger star. ABC's Paula Ferris now.
Those tears of joy from Michael Sam and that embrace reaching far beyond the game of football.
The St. Louis Rams select Michael Sam.
When the St. Louis Rams selected Sam, the first openly gay active player in the NFL, they also ignited a new fan base. Sam's jersey so popular, the NFL is scrambling to keep up with demand.
Judge me for what I do on the field.
And more endorsement deals like this Visa ad are expected. The NFL tackling any ounce of controversy.
We saw Dolphin safety Don Jones make some statements, and he got slapped and a little fine there because of it.
Fining and suspending a Miami Dolphins player who tweeted his reaction to that kiss. Support from Ellen DeGeneres to basketball great Magic Johnson. Not long ago, Sam told our Robin Roberts,
I think I could be a beacon for those people, a light. They're like, hey, I could be comfortable in my own skin and be like Michael Sam.
Brothers and sisters, follow us to the book of Ecclesiastes, the first chapter and the 9th verse. Ecclesiastes 1 and 9, and it reads, "The thing that has been is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done. And there is no new thing under the sun." I'm going to read that again, brothers and sisters. Ecclesiastes chapter 1, verse 9 reads, "The thing that has been is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done. And there is no new thing under the sun." And there is no new thing under the sun. Brothers and sisters, the passage highlights the striking similarities found between present-day events and those that have occurred in the past. Here, Solomon teaches us that everything that is being magnified today is just an endless cycle of repeating occurrences. Right? He says, no new thing under the sun, right? Notice the text discusses how analyzing historical events can help predict future trends and development. Right? Take a look at that. Why? The Bible teaches us that in order to understand the evil present in our world, we must first look back at the evil that has occurred in the past, brothers and sisters. Okay, that means this implies that history holds valuable lessons for us to learn. Right? This is Solomon here, the son of King David, who tells us that there's no new thing under the sun. Right? That means, according to the Bible, the sins committed today are just variations of sins that have been committed in the past. Okay? 10 years ago, the NFL and ESPN were supporting openly gay NFL player Michael Sam. Now they're promoting an entire league dedicated to the alternative lifestyle for flag football. Okay? We should have realized that when ESPN, the leading sports network, started promoting the homosexual lifestyle, it would become widespread in the future, brothers and sisters. Over a decade ago, ESPN featured openly gay NFL player Michael Sam, and now they're promoting an entire league for homosexuals to play flag football.
The Buffalo Bills made a lot of headlines this week, announcing that the team will sponsor a local chapter of the National Gay Flag Football League. The Bills executive said, "We are excited to join the NFL and other clubs across the league in their support of the NGFFL." Well, Buffalo will become the 27th local league in the country, joining these 26 and a lot of major cities in the U.S. plus Toronto. In terms of NFL teams, the Gay Flag Football League already has partnerships with the Giants and Jets in New York, the Patriots, Dolphins, Cardinals, Bears, Commanders, Seahawks. The organization has been around since 2002. Despite that, the Bills' announcement has been mischaracterized a lot over the past 24 hours.
Now you're creating an entire league that's just for the gays, and you make this announcement during Pride Month. The Buffalo Bills posted this, and they are getting wrecked right now on social media, rightfully so.
You're going to discriminate against me simply because I'm straight? You see the problem, guys? You see the problem, right?
But what makes it gay? Only gay people can play, or they play a gay way?
Satan is clever and knows how to influence people by gradually increasing his influence in society. This is a world of diversity, equality, and inclusion, right? This is what we see. This is what we see, where you can be advanced to a top position based on your alternative lifestyle, based on your sexual orientation, right? 10 years ago, the media chose to focus on a lesser known athlete who wasn't even a regular starter and made him the mainstream story on all sports channels and all news networks. Okay, Michael Sam was drafted in the last round of the NFL. Okay, and guess what? Many individuals are unaware that the NFL pressured the St. Louis Rams to draft an openly homosexual player to further an agenda. Okay, if Michael Sam had not publicly come out as a homosexual, he would likely not have been selected to a team to play in the NFL, okay? And this was widely recognized within the NFL, right? So years after Michael Sam's promotion, a new sports league has emerged specifically for individuals of specific sexual orientations, right? So any organization or institution that gives people special treatment because of their sexual orientation has lost its credibility. It has lost its fairness and equity, right? Solomon tells us here that what? We should have expected it. We should have expected it. When Michael Sam, a fringe player, a player that was drafted in the last round, the 7th round, when he's gone in mainstream media, Good Morning America, to talk about his choice, we should have knew that things were changing in the mainstream media. Okay, and now what do we have? We have the NFL, who embraced Michael Sam, who forced the St. Louis Rams to select this player. The same NFL is now promoting what? A homosexual league for flag football. See that? We have to put it out there. We have to put it out there, brothers and sisters. Follow us to the book of James in the New Testament. All right, we're going from the Old Testament, Ecclesiastes, to James, New Testament. chapter 2, verse 9. Brothers and sisters, we're in James chapter 2, verse 9 and 10, and it reads, "But if you have respect to persons, you commit sin and are convinced of the law as a transgressor." Verse 10 reads, "For whosoever shall keep the whole law and yet offend in one point, he is guilty of all." Let's read that again, brothers and sisters. James chapter 2, verse 9 reads, "But if you have respect to persons, you commit sin and are convinced or convicted by the law as a transgressor. For whosoever shall keep the whole law and yet offend in one point is guilty of all." Brothers and sisters, based on these scriptural references, partiality is depicted as a grave transgression that God views with the same seriousness as the act of murder. Okay, so James is encouraging us to view sin from a different perspective, urging us to see it through a more accurate and clear lens. Okay, the Bible teaches us that individuals should be chosen for positions based on merit rather than any other criteria. Okay, we're currently residing in a society that values diversity, equality, and inclusion, where merit used to be accepted. Okay, with this initiative, DEI, the religion of DEI, it's no longer about merit. It's no longer about qualifications. Okay, our society has increasingly embraced the values of diversity, equity, and inclusion, placing less emphasis on meritocracy. We'll have to highlight that today. Why? This shift suggests that traditional measures of value no longer hold the same importance as they once did. When we carefully examine these passages, the Bible indicates that DEI initiative is considered a serious sin according to the Bible. Okay? And we have to be honest here. We have to be honest. Diversity, equity, and inclusion first began in the Black community with a policy known as affirmative action. Okay? Affirmative action was established by an executive order from President Kennedy in 1961. And this order required that Black people with lesser or equal qualifications to white people should be given the job over a white individual. Okay? And this affirmative action was a form of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Right? So if you had a Black man who had equal or even less qualifications than a white man, his white counterpart, because he's Black, he should get the position. So if you had a Black student and an Asian or white student, even though this Black student may have even lesser qualifications, right? Or his scores may be lower on the SAT, he should get the position because he's Black. Brothers and sisters, the Black community were the first people to benefit from DEI, and it was called affirmative action.
Affirmative action began as riot control. Harlem was up in flames. Bed-Stuy was up in flames. Newark was up in flames. And if we don't do something to bring in young Black people to the mainstream economically and educationally, we're not sure the society will hold together. The words affirmative action initially were attempts to deal with discrimination that African Americans face in the labor market. There were executive orders by President Kennedy and President Johnson which said employers had to make a good faith effort to use affirmative action in their hiring and recruitment policies, which meant they were going to try to recruit people who had once been discriminated against.
I have some very sad news for all of you, and that is that Martin Luther King was shot and was killed tonight in Memphis.
After the assassination of Dr. King, there were riots in 60 American cities simultaneously. The leaders of the society, whether they were in government, business, or academia, said, this society can't hold together if black people are burning the cities. And they're burning the cities because they feel excluded. So we've got to bring them into our workplace. We got to bring them into our educational institutions. We got to let them feel that they have a stake in the society. It was a very effective response to urban unrest. Hundreds of thousands of people being hired by major corporations who wouldn't have been hired. You had colleges admitting large numbers of black students who previously only admitted a handful. It really changed the country.
According to the teachings of the Bible, it is considered a grave offense to show favoritism, okay, or partiality towards a specific group, even if they're black. Okay, the Bible emphasizes the importance of treating all individuals and groups equally without showing any form of favoritism or partiality, irregardless of the history. Okay, favoritism goes against the core principles of fairness, okay, and equivalency outlined in biblical teachings. The Bible condemns affirmative action. Why? Affirmative action has now led to what? DEI. DEI is what? It's people being elevated based on their sexual preference. People being preferred based on their sexual preference. The Bible calls for individuals to strive towards unbiased and impartial treatment of all people, irrespective of their background. Okay, so we have to be clear here. We have to be truthful here. DEI began with affirmative action. I am totally against affirmative action. I'm totally against it. Why? When you start putting these black children, let's take college admission, right? When you start putting people who are unqualified to go into these Ivy League schools, right? Let's use Yale or Princeton or Cambridge as an example. If we start putting black children into these universities knowing they're unqualified, what happens? It has a detrimental effect on them. Because why? They're there not based on merit. They're there based on skin color. Right? When they could have went to an HBCU or another university where they could actually keep up with and benefit more from being somewhere where they could thrive. See that? So the Lord condemns affirmative action. It's not biblical. It's unbiblical. It's unethical, brothers and sisters. We as black people do not need your handout. Okay? We do not need your handout. And white people have to resist the urge to try to be the white savior for black people. We don't need your handout. If we don't earn it, we should not have it. Period. That's what God said. That's what the Lord says. The Lord is completely against partiality. He's completely against bias. Okay? In DEI, we had to start off in history. Why? Because we have to be truthful here. We can't condemn DEI without condemning first the executive order that came in the 60s that said you should give a black man a job over a white man, even if he's underqualified. Right? We don't need charity. We don't need handouts. Right? And too many white people who, I can openly confess, they want to do the right thing. They thought they were doing the right thing. But biblically speaking, it was not the right thing, because the only thing that does is breed resentment from other people. How do you believe white people felt about that? Right? Where, hey, just because this guy is black, he gets my position or a position I should have at an organization, or an educational institution? Why? Because he's black? Brothers and sisters, we're going to discuss it today. The religion of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Let us show you that the Lord condemned that ideology. Let's go to the book of John, brothers and sisters. Okay? We're going to stay in the New Testament, but we're going to go to the gospel. We're going to go to the gospel, brothers and sisters. We're going to go to John 17 and 23. Brothers and sisters, follow us to John 17 and 23. This is Christ here. Notice the words are in red. We really want you to examine what Christ says here. Okay, that he gives us a great secret. John 17 and 23 reads, I in them and thou in me, that they may be made perfect in one, and that the world may know that thou hast sent me and hast loved them as thou hast loved me. Brothers and sisters, let's read this one more time because it's a powerful passage that Christ gives us here. We're at John 17 and 23, and it reads, I in them and thou in me, that they may be made perfect in one, and that the world may know that thou hast sent me and hast loved them as thou hast loved me. Brothers and sisters, this is the greatest truth that I have ever discovered in the Bible. This passage transformed me from being insecure in my faith to feeling completely secure in God and filled with joy. Notice here at the end of verse 23, he says that he wants the world to know that God loves us equal to his love for Christ. Take a look at that. We are sinful. He was sinless, right? And it says our heavenly Father has no favorites, right? Think about that. A parent that has favorites is demonic, is satanic, is not godly, is immoral. Okay, the Bible contains numerous passages that express God's love for us, but what? Only one compares it to the love he had for Christ. Okay, this specific verse emphasizes the depth of God's love for us by equating it to the love he had for Christ. Take a look at that, because this passage indicates that God disapproves of favoritism. And the DEI initiative focuses on elevating people into positions based on agenda, right? Favoritism, being biased, partiality, prejudice, right? The Bible advises against showing partiality or favoritism towards someone unless it's deserved based on their actions, based on their credentials, okay, based on their qualifications. So take a look at that. This is important, brothers and sisters, because Satan has tried to do what? He tried to manipulate affirmative action to appear beneficial to Black people, even though it was not really intended to help us. Right? Giving us handouts, giving the Black community handouts, that's not helpful. Okay? In fact, it breeds what? A sense of entitlement and privilege. Okay, this passage conveys the message that God does not condone favoritism, emphasizing the importance of treating everyone without prejudice. So we have to speak out against it, even when it condemns the Black community. Right? We have no favorites. We are not biased, even when we have to convict our own community, expose our own community in the hypocrisy in our own community. Right? So we have to examine that. Why? The DEI initiative operates covertly by masking their biases under the guise of promoting a vision of fairness and equality. It's a lie, brothers and sisters. Okay? It's a lie. Why? Despite their claims of championing diversity and equality, the DEI initiatives, covert equality, right? Their covert favoritism, rather, reveals a deeper imbalance to their approach of promoting inclusivity. It's a lie. Okay, their hidden agenda of advancing certain individuals at the expense of others casts doubt on the sincerity of their commitment. Right? Notice that Christ tells us that the Lord loves us equal to how much he loved Christ. Right? That dismembers this DEI, this diversity, equity, and inclusion. It's not godly. The Lord loved us, sinners, over and over, equal to he loved the sinless one, Christ. When we step back and we examine that perspective, we understand that God is against partiality because he shows it in his own actions. Okay? They understood, the government understood what? They would use affirmative action, right? Beginning in the 60s. Why? Because they wanted to prep society for a certain demographic of people, a minority of people getting preferential treatment based on them being a minority. It's evil, brothers and sisters. It was evil in the 60s, and it's even more evil today. Okay? And we have to put it out there. We as Jews, as quote unquote African Americans, who are the Jews from the Bible, the Israelites from the tribe of Judah, we don't need a handout. Okay, if I haven't earned it, don't do me a favor. Because why? You know what comes with favors, brothers and sisters? Right? When someone does you a favor and you feel as if they gave you something you don't deserve, it requires your loyalty. Right? When somebody's giving you something you know you haven't deserved, you think you need to be loyal. You feel like you need to be loyal to them no matter what that loyalty is going to cost. And that's what they knew. That's what they knew, brothers and sisters. Okay? So we're going to talk about that today. The title of today's broadcast, The Religion of DEI, right? The religion of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Let's go to Ecclesiastes, brothers and sisters, Old Testament. All right? Let's go to the Old Testament. Follow us here, brothers and sisters. We're going to Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 7. All right? The title today, The Religion of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. Brothers and sisters, follow us to Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 7. And it reads, "Surely oppression makes a wise man mad, and a gift destroys the heart." Ecclesiastes 7 and 7 reads, "Surely oppression makes a wise man mad, and a gift destroys the heart." Brothers and sisters, the scripture emphasizes the detrimental effects of prolonged oppression on individuals and the eventual rise of conflict that follows. Okay? During a time of intense political division, those who lead unconventional lives are being offered more opportunities than those who lead traditional lives. Okay? And this has led to a growing conflict. Right? The Bible instructs us that continual mistreatment will lead oppressed individuals to feel anger and resentment. Right? So when people see favoritism, when they recognize bias, it eventually leads to conflict, brothers and sisters. Notice that. The text says, what? A wise man becomes mad when he's constantly oppressed. Right? The passage warns that when people are consistently subjected to mistreatment or marginalization, they are likely to develop negative emotions towards their oppressors, right? Anyone with eyes can see that there seems to be a deliberate effort to promote individuals in the homosexual lifestyle into influential roles, authoritative roles. We are currently in a time where people who are part of the rainbow mafia are given preferential treatment, right? They're given opportunities for high-ranking positions they're not qualified for. And it's through the DEI initiative, diversity, equity, and inclusion. And guess what, brothers and sisters? The push to grant them positions of authority is fueled by a hidden agenda, the homosexual agenda, right? Notice the Bible calls for a collective effort to challenge oppressive systems and work towards creating a more just and less prejudiced society. Because why? There's prejudice, right? Many individuals are fed up with the unfair treatment towards the LGBT and expressing their discontent by boycotting businesses and products associated with it.
Well, diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives were once all the rage in the corporate world, but several big companies are now walking back on those promises. 2 weeks ago, Elon Musk posted on X that, quote, DEI must die. Turns out he might have been onto something. Major tech companies like Google and Meta have quietly made cuts to their diversity, equity, and inclusion programs, and they're laying off workers in those departments. And according to job search site Indeed, DEI-related job listings saw a 44% drop from mid-2022 to mid-2023. David Webb, you've had some experience with the old DEI initiative in corporate America.
Oh, yeah. Short version, DEI official, that's what I call him, walks into my office, starts telling me after all these years of being at the company, I'm going to show you how to get along with everybody you work with. I just looked at him and said, hey, so now you're telling the black man what to do? Boy, white liberal, black.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, use the color again.
Where DEI goes wrong? Is that the
DEI,
point?
well,
Yeah.
where it goes wrong is it exists, but that's another story.
Well, and Carol, look, the tech companies, we talked about this morning, all these tech companies are like, enough, we got to make profits, and DEI isn't working. Great idea on paper, maybe, in theory, not good for business.
Oh, that's.
There is widespread frustration among the population about unqualified individuals receiving preferential treatment based on their sexual orientation. Many people are fed up with the unqualified individuals being promoted over them simply because of their orientation. Okay, just like the Bible says, oppression makes a wise person mad. Okay, the practice of favoring individuals based on characteristics unrelated to their qualifications is a common source of resentment and displeasure among the population. Okay, and we have to highlight that. Why? Many people in society are feeling exhausted and fed up with the systemic discrimination and inequalities present within our agenda, driven by our modern day society. Okay, here it is. Companies are now losing money. Why? Because people are pushing back with their pocketbook, with their wallet. Okay, the Lord promised us that this would happen. When people feel marginalized, right? When people feel what? Others are getting an unfair advantage over them, resentment starts to set in. Okay, even Elon Musk says, hey, this stuff has to stop. This religion of DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, must be done away with. Why? Brothers and sisters, individuals are frustrated and exhausted by witnessing unqualified individuals being promoted over them solely because of their sexual orientation. Okay? And as a result, people are starting to take action by expressing their discontent through financial means, choosing to withhold their support from certain institutions who perpetuate such injustices. Okay? The Lord warned us of this, The title of today's broadcast, The Religion of DEI, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. Okay? Follow us to the book of Isaiah, the 59th chapter, brothers and sisters. Okay? We're going to Isaiah 59, verse 14 and 15, brothers and sisters. All right? We're at Isaiah, the 59th chapter, the 14th and the 15th verse, and it reads, "And judgment is turned away backward, and justice stands afar off. For truth is falling in the street, and equity cannot enter." I'm going to read that again. Isaiah 59 and 14 reads, "And judgment is turned away back, and justice stands afar off. For truth is fallen in the street, and equity cannot enter." Verse 15 reads, "Yes, truth fails, and he that departs from evil makes himself a prey." He that departs from evil makes himself a prey. "And the Lord saw it, and it displeased him that there was no righteous judgment." There was no equity. There was no equality. Right? The Bible foretold of a time when people who attempt to live morally would be seen as enemies of the mainstream media. Notice that. He says what? Those who depart from evil do what? Those who depart from evil make themselves a prey, which means enemy to the mainstream media. Notice that this prophecy speaks to a societal shift where individuals who choose to uphold integrity would face opposition and persecution from the media conglomerates. Okay? So notice the Bible foretold of a time to come when those who uphold biblical values would be deemed as enemies by powerful entities within the corporate media industry. Right? Take a look. Take a look at it, brothers and sisters. The Bible says judgment, true justice, has turned away backwards. It's far away. There's no equity. Equity means what? The appropriate person, the most qualified person takes on the position, not the person who fits your agenda. Right? DEI doesn't encourage diverse thinking. Instead, they prefer individuals with different appearances or diverse appearances that have similar thought process. So even though they're claiming it's about diversity, equity, and inclusion, if you disagree with them, you'll find yourself on the out. Okay, why? They want people from different backgrounds who think the same. That's not diversity. That's not equity. That's not inclusion. Okay, DEI is a joke, and even Elon Musk knew it. It's a cancer. Okay? Whenever the term diversity is mentioned, it's often used as a subtle indicator of inclusivity towards the LGBT community. Right? You have to know certain words, right? There's certain key words that they use. Okay? Often when organizations mention diversity, it is usually referring to being inclusive and accepting to the rainbow community. Right? That's usually what it means. The Black community was manipulated into believing that DEI initiatives would benefit us, while the ulterior motive was actually to empower the Rainbow Coalition, the Alphabet Mafia. Right? They tried to convince Black people that, hey, there's going to be more diversity, there's going to be more inclusion, so more Black people will get positions. That's not what that means. What that meant was now men who like men, women who like women, they will get the position, even if they're not qualified. It's one thing if they're qualified, but they're not. Okay, their qualification is, hey, I like the same sex. That's the only qualification they have, right? So the false premise presented to the Black community was that DEI was designed to uplift and empower us, while the overarching goal was to advance the representation of the LGBT community. Okay? They deceived the Black community into thinking that DEI would benefit Black people, but their true intention was to promote the interests of homosexuals.
DEI is just a rebranded version of hating white people.
DEI, in this case, stands for divisive, erroneous, and insidious.
DEI, which stands for didn't earn it.
Discrimination, exclusion, and indoctrination.
The truth about DEI is that although it's well-intentioned, it's mostly garbage, okay? It's kind of like the Black Little Mermaid. Just because racists hate it doesn't mean it's good. And you know I'm right, because every one of you has sat through one of those diversity training sessions and thought, this is some bullshit. And it's not just you. Over 900 studies have shown that DEI programs don't make the workplace better for minorities. In fact, it can actually make things worse because of the backlash effect.
Individuals are gradually becoming more aware of the DEI initiative and its underlying purpose. The realization of the misleading nature of DEI is dawning on more individuals, particularly the Black community, which is often the last community to be informed. Right? The government has consistently exerted influence over the Black community, beginning with affirmative action policies. And guess what? Those policies ultimately evolved into initiatives focused on diversity, equity, and inclusion. Okay, each time the government appears to be focusing on the Black community, their true intention is to advance the interests of the LGBT community. Okay, and we have to magnify that. We have to highlight that, right? But think about the civil rights era. Everything that we marched for, they now have. They have stolen everything that we marched for, everything that our forefathers died for, has now been offered up to the LGBT as if they are a minority. Right? Remember, they tried to closely link Black with gay, saying that, hey, gay people are experiencing the same thing that Black people experience, which is a bold-faced lie. Okay? You know I'm Black as soon as I walk outside. You don't know who is a flame. You don't know who's zesty by looking at him. Okay? You don't know. You can't discriminate on them based on that. Okay? As soon as a Black man or a woman walks out of the home, out of the house, immediately thereafter, it is recognized, hey, this person's Black. Right? Which is not the same for the zesty community. It's not the same. Right? And we're going to highlight that today, brothers and sisters. The title of today's broadcast, The Religion of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. The religion of partiality. Let's go to Matthew 24, brothers and sisters. Okay. Brothers and sisters, follow us to Matthew, the 24th chapter, the 21st and the 22nd verse. Now, notice that these words are in red, meaning that this is Christ. Okay, Matthew 24, Christ tells us what to expect in the last days. Okay, he says prophetically, this is what you should expect. All right, we're at Matthew 24. Matthew chapter 24, verse 21 and 22. And it reads, "For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be." Verse 22 reads, "And except those days should be shortened, there should be no flesh saved. But for the elect's sake, those days will be short. Let's take a look at that one more time, brothers and sisters. We're at Matthew 24 and 21. And it reads, "For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time. No, never shall be." Okay. Verse 22 reads, "And except those days should be shortened, there should be no flesh saved, but for the elect's sake, those days will be shortened." Brothers and sisters, Christ here is telling us what to expect as we get closer to his second coming. As we get further away from his life and death, he tells us to expect this. Matthew 24 and 21 reads, "For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world." Take a look, brothers and sisters. The scripture predicts that popular culture will promote a level of immorality that has never been seen in the history of civilization. Okay, the passages imply that as the end of the world approaches, society will experience higher levels of moral decay and corruption. Okay, this shift in societal norms is due to the influence of popular media, which plays a significant role in shaping people's values and behaviors. Okay, notice that. The Bible here suggests, right? The Bible here suggests that there is an expectation for popular culture to continue perpetuating a level of moral decay that is unprecedented in the history of humanity. Okay? These passages suggest that popular culture is expected to contribute to a level of moral decline that is unprecedented in the history of humanity.
I'm proud to lead the most pro-LGBTQ equality administration in U.S. history. And even on my very first day in office, the first executive order I signed was to change the whole of the federal government to commit to work aggressively to root out discrimination against LGBTQ plus people and their families. That was the first executive order. I ordered our agencies, every agency, to rapidly implement the Supreme Court's ruling in Bostock, which affirmed that civil rights protections on the basis of sex apply to sexual orientation and gender identity. And as a result of that executive order, the Department of Housing and Urban Affairs announced that it would take steps to protect LGBTQ plus people from discrimination in housing and ensured critical protection for transgender Americans experiencing homelessness. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau announced it would work to combat discrimination against LGBTQ plus people in credit and lending. The Department of Health and Human Services announced it would protect against discrimination in healthcare services. And just last week, the Department of Education made clear that Title IX protections apply to sexual orientation and gender identity and prohibit discrimination.
Brothers and sisters, President Biden supports diversity, equity, and inclusion by promoting and advancing individuals based on their sexual orientation. When the leader of the United States chooses individuals for roles based on their sexual orientation, it has a significant impact on the entire nation. Okay, the President of the United States is openly supporting a lifestyle that goes against the teachings of the Bible. Consider that. When the leader of a country like the United States picks individuals for positions based on their sexual orientation, it sets a powerful example for the entire nation. The president's support for this way of life has ignited a heated discussion about how personal beliefs influence government policy. Okay? Follow us, brothers and sisters. Follow us into the book of Proverbs 28. Brothers and sisters, follow us to Proverbs 28 and 21. We're also going to read 22. Okay, we're at Proverbs 28 and 21, and it reads, "To have respect of persons is not good, or a piece of bread that man will transgress. Verse 22 reads, "He that is in a hurry to be rich has an evil eye, and considers not that poverty shall come upon him." Let's read that again. Proverbs 28 and 21 reads, "To have respect of persons is not good. For a piece of bread that man will transgress." Verse 22 reads, "He that is in a hurry to be rich has an evil eye, and considers not that poverty shall come upon him." Brothers and sisters, examine that first half of verse 21, where it reads, "To have respect of persons is not good." According to the teachings of the Bible, any form of favoritism or discrimination is seen as wrong in the eyes of God. Therefore, initiatives like DEI, also known as diversity, equity, and inclusion, that do what? Promote inequality or any bias, they are unacceptable in the eyes of the Most High God. Okay, this means that if someone is biased and shows favoritism based on factors other than merit, it is disapproved of by God. Okay? President Biden was showing support for the Rainbow Mafia because he wanted their vote, which God views as a form of bribery. See that? He was trying to bribe the Rainbow Coalition. Okay? And we have to highlight this. Why? Most individuals are unaware that the success of many of the largest companies in the US is being measured based on the number of gay employees they have. Yeah. All the big companies are rated on how accepting they are to the rainbow community. A lot of people didn't know this. Okay. An organization surveys large companies to see how welcoming they are to the LGBT community. This study is called the Corporate Equality Index. Corporate Equality Index. Look this up. Look it up, brothers and sisters. The Corporate Equality Index is a metric used to evaluate how many Fortune 500 companies have LGBT employees in their workforce. Okay, this study shows how big companies focus on promoting diversity and inclusivity in their corporate culture. Examine it, brothers and sisters. I'm not making this up. The Corporate Equality Index is a way to evaluate big companies and see how well they include and support the rainbow community.
LGBTQ people deserve equality in every workplace. From the moment you get up to the end of your day, the Human Rights Campaign has had an impact on the brands you love. HRC's Corporate Equality Index rates workplaces on their commitment to policies and benefits for LGBTQ workers. From cereal to cell phones, soap to social media, tractors to tax preparation, the CEI touches every industry and sector. HRC started the Corporate Equality Index 19 years ago and rated 319 companies with just 13 top scorers. This year, the CEI rated 1,142 companies with an incredible 767 scoring top marks. Long before Supreme Court victories that secured non-discrimination in marriage rights, the CEI helped companies create an equal footing for LGBTQ employees through domestic partner benefits and inclusive non-discrimination policies. Today, 99.7% of CEI-rated companies have non-discrimination policies that include explicit protections for employees on the basis of sexual orientation and gender identity, and 78% have domestic partner benefits for same and different-sex couples. The CEI has had an outsized impact in driving inclusion for trans and non-binary workers, including the adoption of transgender inclusive healthcare benefits across the Fortune 500. In 2009, only a handful of companies included these benefits. Today, it's more than 1,000. In the 2021 CEI, more than 600 major employers have adopted written gender transition guidelines, supporting employees transitioning in the workplace. This year, the 767 companies scoring 100 and earning the designation of best places to work for LGBTQ equality employ over 13 million American workers, have operations in all 50 states, and represent trillions of dollars in revenue. When LGBTQ employees feel welcomed and respected, employers will attract and keep the best workforce. And that's just good business.
Brothers and sisters, there is a metric titled Corporate Equality Index, utilized to measure companies by an assessment of the presence of LGBT employees within their workforce. Through this assessment or study, it is revealed how these major corporations prioritize diversity and inclusion within their organizational culture. Okay. Corporate Equality Index is an evaluation of prominent companies to assess their inclusivity towards the LGBT community. This is what's going on, brothers and sisters. Why? There's an agenda that's being promoted. There's an agenda. There's a narrative that they want to push, right? And this organization will come in to your company to assess how friendly, how accepting you are to the Rainbow Coalition. Today's lesson entitled The Religion of DEI, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. The Lord warns us about this, brothers and sisters. The Lord warns us that we would get to this point, right? Now, if you are heterosexual, you're discriminated against. Now, companies, out of fear for their reputation, are promoting the Rainbow Coalition, the Rainbow Mafia. They're putting people in places of authority that they're unqualified for in order to what? In order to protect their reputation and to continue making millions and billions of dollars. See that? This is what they hide. Many people wonder, why is Target and Amazon, why is everyone promoting this madness? You see here, because this is what's going on behind closed doors. They're being squeezed. They're being manipulated, right? They're being manipulated behind closed doors to be accepting, not only accepting, but to promote these alternative lifestyle livers to prominent positions without the qualifications to match. Okay, the title of today's broadcast, The Religion of DEI. Okay, the religion of DEI. Let's stay in Proverbs 28. Brothers and sisters, jump down to Proverbs 28 and 28. Same chapter, just a few verses down. Proverbs 28 and 28 reads, when the wicked rise, men hide themselves. But when they perish, the righteous increase. Proverbs 28 and 28 reads, when the wicked rise, men hide themselves. But when they perish, the righteous increase. Brothers and sisters, the Bible teaches us that having corrupt leadership has a negative impact on society as a whole. Okay, due to the emphasis on diversity, equity, and inclusion, we're pushing individuals into roles for which they are not qualified. And this is negatively impacting our society. Okay, according to the teachings of the Bible, the presence of corrupt individuals in positions of authority has a detrimental impact on the entire fabric of society. Okay, so due to the wide range of diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives being implemented, individuals are being advanced into roles for which they are not adequately qualified. Okay. In the healthcare industry, consider that. Consider the healthcare industry, brothers and sisters. In the healthcare industry, there is a push for equity and inclusion. But corporate media has hidden the fact that children are suffering as a result.
A groundbreaking lawsuit in gender transition treatments for minors is underway. A young woman alleges she was coerced into treatments at the age of 15 that caused permanent mutilation and damage to her body.
Well, now 18, Chloe Cole is suing the nation's largest medical group. Her legal action may be the first of its kind in this country, and it could open a floodgate of similar suits. Heather Sells reports on what's at stake.
Chloe Cole charges that doctors said her gender confusion would not resolve unless she underwent medical treatment and surgery. And she adds they warned her and her parents of the risk of suicide.
It was a decision that I was allowed to make at 15. And when they told me that I wasn't going to be able to breastfeed, at the time, it didn't really mean much to me because I was just a kid. I was just in high school.
18-year-old Cole is now taking on Kaiser Permanente, the country's largest medical group, with more than 23,000 physicians, 39 hospitals, and over 200,000 employees. She alleges that Permanente doctors began giving her off-label puberty blockers 5 years ago, plus weekly doses of testosterone, and finally, a double mastectomy. Her pre-lawsuit demand letter alleges that doctors failed to explain the serious risks to her and her parents, that they concealed that most gender confusion resolves with age, and that inadequately studied treatments amounted to medical experimentation.
They were selling a product, and they sold it not just to Chloe, but to many other girls.
Cole's attorney tells CBN News other young women are beginning to come forward and notes time is of the essence as many states have short statutes of limitations. In recent years, pediatric gender medicine in the U.S. has skyrocketed, with clinics opening across the country, leading to an explosion in treatments. Dylan agrees with many parents that teens should not be allowed to make such decisions.
Children of Chloe's age, when she had the surgery, they can't get tattoos, they can't drink, they can't vote, they can't serve in the armed services. And yet, we are treating them as fit to make permanent bodily changes.
CBN News contacted Kaiser Permanente, and the company stated it can't comment on the case out of respect for patient privacy and in compliance with state and federal laws. Doctors performed Cole's mastectomy in 2020. 1 year later, she told them she regretted her transition and stopped taking testosterone. In recent months, she has begun speaking publicly, becoming one of the more well-known detransitioners.
And I realized that I'm not the only one who is in this situation, and I need to start speaking up because this is what happened to me. It's very real, and it's being silenced.
Brothers and sisters, corporations in the United States across all industries are hiring individuals based on their sexual orientation, leading to the placement of unqualified individuals into important positions. We have numerous doctors who are not qualified serving in roles where they should not be, and it has negatively impacted their patients. Why? Because what's most important isn't qualifications now, it's sexual orientation. Okay? Because of the corporate equity index or the corporate equality index, it has led to doctors being hired based on sexual preferences instead of their qualifications. Okay? I'm seeking a doctor who possesses the highest level of expertise and experience rather than one who aligns with the government's preferred narrative. Okay? Children are being destroyed psychologically through this DEI. Okay? This has spread like a cancer, brothers and sisters, in all industries in the United States of America. Now we have doctors with their own personal agenda. Why? They're a DEI hire. They're an affirmative action hire. DEI is affirmative action for homosexuals. Okay? And here we have children that are being mutilated based on this initiative for inclusion. The Lord warned us that this would affect the healthcare industry. This would affect the medical industry. How do we know? Let's go to Job, brothers and sisters. All right. We're going to stay in the Old Testament. Let's go to Job 13:4. Brothers and sisters, follow us to Job, the 13th chapter, and the 4th verse. And it reads, "But you are forgers of lies. You are all physicians of no value." Take a look at that one more time, brothers and sisters. Job 13:4 reads, "But you are forgers of lies. You are all physicians or doctors with no value." Examine that, brothers and sisters. The Lord cautioned us that the healthcare sector is corrupt, and that corruption is on the rise. Okay, because of DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, we have a lot of, if not more, unqualified doctors being chosen based on government narratives, based on government agendas. Okay, so it's not that they're qualified. They're hiring doctors, they're elevating doctors based on their sexual orientation or their race. Okay, and that's why the Lord condemns the sector, right? The Lord here cautions us about the growing corruption in the healthcare industry. And see, this is why most doctors hate the Bible, right? Why? They trust more science than they do God. And here we learn why. Notice he highlighted how unethical practices and dishonest behavior have infiltrated the industry, leading to a decline of quality of care provided for the patients. Okay? The primary factor influencing a person's choice of doctor is their competence. It's their proficiency. It's not their ideology concerning homosexuality. Right? And we have to put it out there. They're not considering only sexual orientation in the healthcare industry. They're also taking into account racial factors, brothers and sisters. And the Lord warns us, right? The Lord warns us about blind acceptance because someone has on a white jacket. Okay? Because why? The witches wear white jackets now. They used to ride brooms and wear all black. Now they wear white jackets. These are sorcerers. Okay? These are sorcerers. And the Lord warns us that their decision-making has to be called into question. Why? They're not only considering sexual orientation in the healthcare industry, but also there's a factor of race involved.
This, Larry, good morning. Good morning. The big question folks can ask, why the need for black doctors? Well, for starters, black men have the lowest life expectancy of any group in the United States. Black women are 3 to 4 times more likely to die from pregnancy, labor, and childbirth complications. That explains why doctors say this is a crisis situation and the need is urgent. A lack of black doctors. The diagnosis is dire. The prognosis a problem. Research shows that physicians of color provide better care for patients of color, and there just aren't enough out there yet.
I didn't have a black doctor. I didn't have anything. My physicians were awesome, but they weren't people who looked like me. So sometimes things got misdiagnosed. Things got missed because they didn't understand me and the needs that I have as a female and as a minority.
Over 2 weekends this month, black doctors gathered in Dallas.
So as I look out on this audience, I'm sorry, I just feel the lane of trust here.
The inaugural symposium of the Texas Association of Black Female Physicians.
To be black in America and understand the gap.
And black men in white coats, a national movement of black doctors.
If you're a black man and you have a black doctor, you're more likely to listen to your healthcare recommendations.
Both highlighting the need for more black doctors in America. In Texas,
Texas has the highest census of African American citizens in the entire country.
But black female physicians are just barely 3% of Texas doctors.
All of the fields currently are underrepresented for African American physicians or underrepresented in nursing or any physician assistant. So it would be great to increase the numbers.
Brothers and sisters, follow us to Proverbs 24 and 23. Okay, we're going to read also verse 24. Right, Proverbs 24 and 23, and it reads, "These things also belong to the wise. It is not good to have respect of persons in judgment." It is not good to have respect of persons in judgment. Verse 24 reads, "He that saith unto the wicked, You are righteous, him shall the people curse. The nations shall hate him." Let's take a look at that again, brothers and sisters. Proverbs 24 and 23 and 24 reads, "These things also belong to the wise. It is not good to have respect of persons in decision making." Verse 24 reads, "He that saith unto the wicked, You are righteous, him shall the people curse. Nations shall hate him." Brothers and sisters, according to the Bible, a wise individual does not demonstrate favoritism, as it indicates a lack of integrity, a lack of honesty, right? Qualifications is what's most important. All right. And according to this passage, individuals should be chosen for roles based on qualifications rather than sexual orientation or race. Okay. According to the Bible, being impartial is a characteristic of wisdom and honesty. That's what the text tells us here. Right? The text is very clear. The passage suggests that individuals should be chosen based on their skills, right? Based on their qualifications rather than their orientation or their race. But we're living in a time that is racial idolatry is at its height. Sexual idolatry is at its height. Okay, and I have to highlight this, brothers and sisters. It has been forgotten by many people that President Joe Biden chose a Supreme Court justice based on her gender and race rather than her qualifications. Okay, people often overlook the fact that President Joe Biden's choice for Supreme Court justice was made primarily on the grounds of her gender and race rather than her qualifications.
Choosing someone to sit in the Supreme Court, I believe, is one of the most serious constitutional responsibility a president has. Our process is going to be rigorous. I will select a nominee worthy of Justice Breyer's legacy of excellence and decency. While I've been studying candidates' backgrounds and writings, I've made no decision except one. The person I will nominate will be someone with extraordinary qualifications, character, experience, and integrity. And that person will be the first Black woman ever nominated to the United States Supreme Court.
Many individuals fail to acknowledge that diversity, equity, and inclusion gained popularity only during President Biden's tenure. And we are currently experiencing an unprecedented level of political polarization. Okay. President Biden chooses individuals for positions based on their sexual orientation and race with the goal of achieving his desired outcome of what? Manipulating those he assists. Okay. Let's discuss it, brothers and sisters. Let's discuss it. Let's go to Psalms 82 and 3. Brothers and sisters, we're here at Psalms 82 and 3, and it reads, "Defend the poor and fatherless. Do justice to the afflicted and needy." Psalms 82 and 3 reads, "Defend the poor and fatherless. Do justice to the afflicted and needy." Brothers and sisters, this passage emphasizes the importance of protecting those who are most vulnerable in society, specifically children. right? The Bible tells us to advocate for and safeguard the well-being of children, who are often the most defenseless members of our communities, right? Take a look, because when we closely analyze the passage, we see that God specifically calls on men to take on roles that protect those who cannot protect themselves. See? Take a look, because when we carefully study the passage, we see that God is urging men to take on roles that protect those who cannot protect themselves. See that? See? Here the Bible explicitly denounces those who fail to safeguard the well-being of children. Okay? And we have to highlight this fact, brothers and sisters. Unknown to most, the Supreme Court justice chosen by Joe Biden because of her race and gender has a track of what? Embracing the sexual abuse of children.
And the position that I've taken in all of my sentencings involving child pornography offenders is to ensure that despite the attitude and view of many of the offenders who came before me when I was a trial judge, that they were just lookers, that they weren't really harming anyone, that they were curating their collections and they never touched a child, I made sure that they understood that notwithstanding their collecting behavior, that they were causing significant harm.
Let's look at what the prosecutors are asking for. And I would note that this was in the District of Columbia, where prosecutors are far more liberal than many of the prosecutors in this country. And in every case in which, so United States versus Hess, there was a mandatory statutory minimum of 60 months, and you imposed 60 months because you had no discretion. In United States versus Nickerson, there was a mutual agreement of the parties to 120 months, and that's what you imposed. In every other case, United States versus Chazen, the prosecutor asked for 78 to 97 months. You imposed 28 months. 28 months is a 64% reduction. In United States versus Cooper, the prosecutor asked for 72 months. You imposed 60 months. That was a 17% reduction. In United States versus Downs, the prosecutor asked for 70 months. You imposed 60. That was a 14% reduction. In United States versus Hawkins, the prosecutor asked for 24 months. You imposed 3 months. That was an 88% reduction. In United States versus Savage, the prosecutor asked for 49 months. You imposed 37. That was a 24% reduction. In United States versus Stewart, the prosecutor asked for 97 months. You imposed 57. That was a 41% reduction. Every single case, 100% of them, when prosecutors came before you with child pornography cases, you sentenced the defenders to substantially below, not just the guidelines, which are way higher, but what the prosecutor asked for on average of these cases, 47.2% less. Now, you said you made sure the voice of the children was heard. Do you believe in a case like United States versus Hawkins, where the prosecutor asked for 24 months and you sentenced the offender to only 3 months? Do you believe the voice of the children is heard when 100% of the time you're sentencing those in possession of child pornography to far below what the prosecutor's asking for?
Yes, Senator, I do.
Brothers and sisters, Joe Biden chose a Supreme Court justice based on gender and race, and this has led to one of the worst human beings ever being elevated to one of the most prominent positions in our country. Okay, Joe Biden chose her to be on the Supreme Court because she was what? Because she was Black and female. And he was fully aware of her past of defending pedophiles and supporting the sexual abuse of children. See that? This is what happens when you're elevated into a position based on what? Diversity, equity, and inclusion, and not qualifications. Okay, Joe Biden knew that people are what? He knew that people are often hesitant to criticize Black women, so he took advantage of that. He knew that she was a predator towards children, but still promoted her to one of the most influential positions in our country. And you can thank DEI for that. Here it is, this deviant is protecting pedophiles, giving them the lowest sentence that she can possibly give without raising flags to the American people. He knew this. He did his research on her. And guess what? For the Black community who accepted it just because she was Black, it shows you the wickedness of racial idolatry and selecting a leader or a person to put in a position of authority based on anything other than qualifications. See that? See? Here it is, this witch, this warlock, this wizard, this necromancer, put in a position of authority only to what? Protect those that sexually abuse children. Wake up, brothers and sisters. Wake up. Let's go to Proverbs 29. All right. We're going to go to Proverbs, the 29th chapter, and the 2nd verse. Proverbs 29:2 reads, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked bear rule, the people mourn. Brothers and sisters, by closely analyzing the passage, we discover that having unqualified individuals in positions of power has a negative impact on society as a whole. Okay? Joe Biden's tendency to choose individuals for positions based on their sexual orientation or their race is causing corruption to rise globally. Okay? Joe Biden chose a Black woman for the Supreme Court based on her race and gender, and she's known as a protector of pedophiles. That's what she is. And Joe Biden knew it because he is a pedophile. Without any shadow of a doubt. Go look at the diary of his daughter. Yeah. This was documented. His daughter, a journalist published his daughter, excerpts from his daughter's diary, where she admitted that her father took showers with her at an inappropriate age. Look it up, brothers and sisters. That's how he got the position. That's how he got the position. Okay? The Black woman chosen by Joe Biden for the Supreme Court because of her race and gender has a history of protecting pedophiles.
Hill, Judge Jackson was once again pressed on her record surrounding allegations of being very lenient sentencing for child porn offenders. Here's an exchange with Senator Josh Hawley of Missouri. Take a look.
The government asked for enhancements related to prepubescent children, related to the nature of these images. You say, I'm not going to apply it. But what you're telling me is, I guess, that you don't have a policy objection? I mean, why didn't you apply the enhancements as they were asked for?
Senator, I've answered this question many times from many senators who've asked me, so I'll stand on what I've already said.
So you have nothing to add about why these crimes, why these images, in your view, do not signal an especially heinous or egregious child pornography offense?
Here with reaction, Senator Josh Hawley. Senator, one interesting part of that exchange, you asked Judge Jackson why she actually, in one case, apologized to a convicted pedophile at sentencing. Why would you ever apologize to a convicted pedophile and you're still not given the maximum sentence to, or even the recommended sentence, or what the prosecutors wanted?
Yeah, in fact, what she gave that convicted criminal, Sean, was 3 months 3 months. He was eligible for up to 10 years in prison. She gave him 3 months, and she apologized to him. I mean, listen, we've had now over 20 hours of questioning in the Judiciary Committee, and I think her record is pretty clear when it comes to crime, and especially crimes against children. This is somebody who apologizes to the criminals. This is someone who has handed out one lenient sentence after another, especially when it comes to these child sex crimes. And frankly, this is somebody who I just can't support.
For people that maybe didn't have time all day to watch the hearings on this particular issue, which you brought to the nation's attention first, there are a number of factors in play here. And one is the recommendation of the prosecutors that got convictions in these cases, that she wouldn't listen to the prosecutors' recommendation for sentencing, nor would she go along with federal guidelines for sentencing. And she was extraordinarily lenient in almost every case. I didn't see a case where she wasn't.
Yeah, 100% of the time, Sean. I mean, that's the deal. She has had multiple, just to take one set of crimes, multiple child porn crime offenses. And in every single case that she has had of child porn offenses, she's sentenced below what the prosecutor wanted. She's sentenced below what the national guidelines are every time, 100% of the time. And she just can't explain it. I mean, we tried to ask her day after day, hour after hour. She has no explanation for it. And I think the American people watching this are saying, listen, I want somebody who's going to protect children, who's going to be tough on child criminals, people who go after children, and not apologize to them. I mean, why would she apologize to the criminal? I just don't understand it.
Joe Biden's tendency to make appointments or hiring decisions based on factors such as sexual orientation or race or gender has resulted in a rise in corruption, brothers and sisters. Why? By focusing on factors such as diversity rather than merit, Biden's administration has created an environment where corruption thrives, brothers and sisters. We have to wake up. Why? The consequences of these actions have not only affected domestic policies, but have also had a far-reaching implication for international relations. Okay? He knew the history of this deviant, this monster. But because she's Black, because she's female, the American people have accepted it. This is what happens when you follow after racial idolatry. This is what happened when women just support women because they're women. See that? When sisters are supporting, oh, well, because she's a woman, I'm going to support her. Now you're supporting a pedophile. Because why? Diversity, equity, and inclusion. Men have to stand up. Men have to stand up. Because why? Because men refuse to stand up, this is the society we have. Okay? Follow us into Ephesians 5 and 11. Brothers and sisters, we're here at Ephesians chapter 5, verse 11, and it reads, "And have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather reprove them." Brothers and sisters, Ephesians 5 and 11 says, have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather reprove them. Brothers and sisters, the text teaches that to ignore evil is to encourage it. To keep quiet about it is to promote it. Okay, according to the author, silent abstinence is not enough. Okay, the Bible instructs us as men to reveal evil by speaking out against it whenever we come across it. Why? If men grow weary from denouncing sins on earth, we are not adhering to the biblical commandment outlined in the scriptures. Okay? The passage implies that if we see ourselves as godly men, we should always declare the truth and never turn a blind eye to wrongdoing. As a man of God, if you turn a blind eye to wrongdoing for any reason, You're not as godly as you think. Okay? Paul is cautioning the audience that if they are followers of God, they should not engage in wickedness, right? They should not engage with activities associated with darkness, but they should expose it. That's what we're doing today. We're going to expose the wickedness every time we see it. Why? Because people are so busy with their day-to-day that a lot of what's going on in our society gets overlooked. And it's our job. The Lord have set us up, the Commandment Keepers Church, to help our brothers and sisters be aware of the potential danger. Okay? Men have to step up. We're living in a society that elevates diversity over qualifications. Why? Because men have allowed it. Men have allowed it. Okay? This is a condemnation on men. How do we know? Let's go to 1 Corinthians 11:3. Okay? Brothers and sisters, we're here at 1 Corinthians 11:3, and it reads, "But I would have you know that the head of every man is Christ, and the head of every woman is the man, and the head of Christ is God." Brothers and sisters, take a look at this one more time. 1 Corinthians 11:3 reads, "But I would have you know that the head of every man is Christ, and the head of the woman is the man, and the head of Christ is God." Let's take a look at that. Why? The Lord is saying that in order for a man to earn a woman's respect and loyalty, he must show his commitment to the Lord through his actions. Right? Here we explore the reasons why women have little respect for men in today's society. The text says if his head is not Christ, the woman will not allow the man to be her head. Examine that. Women's respect for men was foretold to diminish if men neglect to honor God. See that? The Lord emphasizes here that a man can only gain a woman's respect and loyalty by demonstrating his dedication to the Lord through his behavior. See, so if the man wants to be the head of the woman, then he can't skip that step of making Christ his head. Right? According to the text, men must show respect to the Lord with their actions in order to gain the admiration of women. Take a look at it, brothers and sisters. Why? You cannot expect a woman to submit if you have not submitted first to Christ. Okay? It was predicted that women would lose respect for men if we fail to show reverence to God.
So there's this clip going viral online of a dozen women being asked the following question: do we need men? Most answered very quickly, no. And only one said she thought women needed a man in their lives, only one. But when men were asked a similar question, do we need women, most of them said yes. So why do you think that is?
Because men are useless. I mean, and by the way, I want to differentiate between straight men and gay men, because I think I would die without gay men. Nobody can gossip like gay men. Nobody can help you accessorize like gay men. Nobody can help you keep you from doing harm to yourself like gay men. But with the exception of somebody like Steve, I think Steve is very self-sufficient.
That's Joy's husband.
But like my husband, it takes a village of women to make sure that he's not emaciated, starving, and living in his own filth. He can, Yeah. But you guys, well, I feel you guys are married to people that are more.
I have Handy Manny at home. You know, he fixes everything. When things go bump in the night, he's the one that goes downstairs. When there's a bug to be exterminated, he does the extermination.
Nope.
When there is something to be fixed, he fixes it. He throws out the trash and he
Still
throws
no.
out the recyclables. I enjoy all the man stuff.
So
he does at
wait
my
a second. I know what you're going to say, but wait. She's really talking about a servant, let's face it.
No.
It's a handyman she's talking about.
It's a handy manny. Oh, it's a handyman with benefits.
We do not have, well, but the things that you're describing, you could pay somebody to do that. We're not talking about that. What about?
Brothers and sisters, follow us to the Apocrypha. We're going to go to the book of Ecclesiasticus in the Apocrypha in your 1611 King James Version Bible. Okay? We're going to go to Ecclesiasticus, the 4th chapter and the 10th verse, brothers and sisters. Okay, we're at Ecclesiasticus chapter 4, verse 10, and it reads, "Be as a father unto the fatherless, and instead of a husband unto their mother, so shalt thou be a son of the Most High, and he shall love you more than your mother does." Brothers and sisters, take a look at this passage again. Ecclesiasticus 4 and 10 is directed directly towards men. Ecclesiasticus 4 and 10 reads, "Be as a father unto the fatherless. Be as a father unto the fatherless. Be as a father unto the fatherless." The Bible here teaches us, brothers, that each man should take care of at least one child who is not his own biological child. Right? The passage states that in order to be recognized as a child of God, men need to be willing to take responsibilities for caring for at least one child who is not their biological offspring. Okay? In the Black community, we have accepted the idea of single mothers raising children. Okay, and this is why men are encouraged to support and care for fatherless children. Okay, 7 out of 10 Black boys and girls do not grow up in the same house as their biological father. Okay, so the Bible suggests that men should help guide boys who do not have fathers without having any hidden agenda or intentions with their mother. See that? The Bible instructs men to provide guidance to young boys without having a romantic interest in their mother. See that? When the Lord gives a command to godly men that they are to embrace the role of being a father to the fatherless, it's because he knows that predators look for children who don't have a male to protect them. Many years ago, and people probably forgot about this, many years ago, one of the news channels did an interview with a pedophile, and he said just that. He said that he looked for children that didn't have fathers, and those were the ones he groomed.
How did you get them alone?
Grooming. I would check out their family situation. I would check out their clothing to see how well they were, financially. I would check out their social interaction with other kids. When we were on the ballparks or on the gym floor, I would make sure which ones I wanted to molest. I would give them special attention, congratulate them, talk to them when I know that I would never be allowed to talk to anybody else. Aside from everybody, I would give them the attention that an official is not supposed to give anybody. And it made them feel like, wow, he's paying me attention. It is a direct form of grooming.
Were there certain characteristics that you looked for in children before molesting them?
In children, yes, but more I also looked at their families. If I thought the father was a threat, I would not approach the child. If I thought that the child had friends that he would tell, I would not approach him. If I thought the child had friends that were in the same capacity he was, I would approach him. For the simple fact that if I could molest him, I could lure him into believing, grooming him into believing that he would enjoy it. And therefore, I could manipulate him into having his other friends come and be molested by me as well.
Godly men are advised by the Lord to take care of at least one child who is not their biological offspring, because the Lord knows that predators target unprotected children. Okay? So godly men are directed by the Lord to step up and care for at least one child who is not their own by blood. Okay? This responsibility is given to us. Why? Because the Lord understands that in a society devoid of moral values, predators often target vulnerable children who lack the appropriate protection. Okay? And if you're a father who has children who you're not in their life, you better get back in their life immediately. Because when you leave your children to be raised by women, you offer them up to predators. You're offering them up to predators, as we have just seen. Okay? The title of today's broadcast, brothers and sisters, The Religion of DEI, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. Today we discovered how merit is no longer used for selecting leaders, right? Positions are now being given to people based on race and sexual orientation, and this is condemned in the Bible. We want to say, Kwam Yasharala, sin no more.